So I was running track since I was 5 years old. Went to college running track. I went to Norfolk State University in Norfolk, Virginia, running track. Graduated from there, and I did what most people do. What do they do after they graduate from college? Get a job. There we go. Yes. So I got a job. I got a job working at a communications company in Philadelphia. And every day, I used to get up, and I hated going to work. I'm like, this job sucks. They pay well, though. So every Friday, I loved it, but Monday through Thursday, I couldn't stand my job. And I kept praying and kept praying and kept praying, and I said, God, can you please speak a little louder so I can stop coming to this job every day? Lo and behold, God spoke louder in January of 2001, and I was involved in a train accident. I was involved in a train accident, and I ended up losing my left leg below my knee as a result of the train accident. You see, I was on a platform very similar to this one that's here right now. Standing on a platform, and I'm waiting for the train, waiting for the train, waiting for the train. And all of a sudden, there's a call come through the intercom system, and it says, hey, by the way, so-and-so train going to New York is running late. So I'm with my boyfriend, and I have all the bags, and he has some bags, and he decides that he wants to go downstairs and do whatever, I don't know. But he comes back, and before he comes back, the train comes. Here comes the train, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's the last train to New York. We need to be on this train, right? I'm still standing there waiting for the train. He's nowhere to be found. So I walk over, and I holler down the steps, and I tell him, come on, here comes the train. Nowhere in sight. I go a little further down the steps. Keep talking. Hey, train's here. He's like, oh, okay, here I come. He's running up the steps. Me, I have all the bags. So as he's running up the steps, I have all the bags. I'm like, I have all the bags. He's like, oh, yeah, bags. Okay, cool. He stops, picks up the bags, and he goes and gets on the train. I'm right behind him. I go get on the train. And I'm the very last person to attempt to board the train that day. And I ended up slipping and falling underneath, and I landed underneath a platform very similar like this. And the train was actually crushing my leg. And I laid there, and I laid there, and I laid there for 17 minutes. 17 minutes I laid there with my leg crushed by the train, and I couldn't move. The only thing I could move was my upper body. But this is Philadelphia. This is January, so there was a pile of snow in very close proximity to me. And so I took the snow, and I started making snowballs and like throwing the snowballs. Like, how did I get here? Another snowball. What am I doing here? Another snowball. Stupid train. I'm not saying all that. But anyway, I was going through it. I was going through the most as I was underneath the train. And I kept thinking about my life, and I kept thinking about, you know, if I had to do things over, what would I do? And I also kept thinking of, my life can't possibly end like this. Wasn't meant for me to end like, I mean, you think of, you know, when you're growing up, you think of, you know, how in the world am I going to end? Is my life going to end? And never did I envision it being by a train. So I'm like, nah, don't worry about it. It's not over. I just got to get it together, and I got to get underneath the train. And then all of a sudden, the paramedic people come, and the lady's like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? I'm like, ma'am, listen. Tell the people that the same way they rode this train on my leg is the same way they should start this train up and go on about their business. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm going to tell them. I said, okay. Meantime, the train engineers are actually trying to lift the train up. They have a jack like you have for a car, so they're trying to lift it up so they can free me from the train so we can get to the hospital. And probably after 3 or 4 tries and 17 minutes later, I was finally free from the train. But while I was underneath that train, I kept singing songs. And because I love music, I kept singing songs. And I'm like, if I could just keep singing these songs to keep me upbeat. And if I could just keep singing these songs to keep me alive. And if I could just keep singing these songs to keep me encouraged about my current situation, then I'll be all right by the time I get to the hospital. So I got to the hospital a few hours later. I woke up in the emergency room, and one of the nurses or assistants or whatever, he woke me up. He said, I'm going to take you upstairs to your family. I said, okay. I get upstairs with my family, and my cousin's on one side of my bed, and my mom and her boyfriend are on the other side of my bed. And I said to my cousin, I had a neck brace on at the time, so I said to my cousin, let me ask you this question. What happened to my leg? And she said, you know, you'll be okay. I said, okay, all right. I know I've had a couple doses of medicine, and I know I've been going through this for a little while, but I've realized that she really didn't answer me. So let's try this question one more time. I said, what happened to my leg? And she said, oh, you'll be okay. I said, okay, all right. Now, again, I have a neck brace on, so I can't actually look down and see my leg, or I didn't believe I could at the time. But all of a sudden I stopped and I said, you know what? Let me try this myself. Let me look down for myself. And I looked down and I noticed that my left leg was missing. My cute little 5 toes on my left side was just not there anymore. I said, wow. And I looked back at her and I said, you mean to tell me I'll never be able to run or play basketball again? And she said to me the same thing she had said to me 2 times previous. She said, you'll be okay. I said, okay, all right. So I turned to my mom and I said, Mom, go home and get some sleep. I'm going to be okay. And she's like, okay, April, I'm going to go get some sleep. Meantime, you do the same. I said, all right, Mom. The very next day, I consider it to be one of the sunniest days of my life. Just as the sun is shining, just as bright as it is outside here, was as bright as the sun was shining in January in Philadelphia. I equate that to mean that that was my outlook on life after that day. Like, you know, you had an incident with a train and all of a sudden you're still here. Oh, you were trapped underneath this train for 17 minutes, but you're still here. The train came by and severed your leg, but you are still here. So I laid in the hospital bed, and for days people came in and out the room to see me. And my conversation with them was always the same. I'm happy to be here. You know, they're like, hey, I know you're devastated for missing your leg. And people would come in the hospital room and would cry about it. And I said, you know, I'm just so happy I'm still here. I'm happy I'm still here. Sure, I'm missing my foot, but I'm happy I'm still here. And I was very fortunate that a few days after that, the doctor that did my emergency surgery, he came in and he bought me some magazines about the Paralympics. And when he bought me those magazines about the Paralympics, I thought he was crazy. And I thought he was crazy because I'd never, ever heard of the Paralympic Games. Of course, as a kid, I knew the Olympic Games all day long because I seen them. But I never knew that there were athletes out there with physical disabilities, whether it be the wheelchair, whether it be they were visually impaired, whether it be they're amputees, whether it mean that they're dwarfs, or whether it means they're even CP. I never knew that there were an Olympic Games for athletes with physical disabilities. And so I laid in that bed that day and I saw these magazines and I started flipping the pages with my sisters, and the more and more we flipped the pages, it occurred to me that this is what I wanted to do. And as I laid there, I said, okay, I got to come up with a dream. And my dream was threefold. First, I wanted to be able to represent the United States at the very next Paralympic Games. The second part of my dream was I didn't just want to represent the United States. I wanted to be the fastest in the world. And of course, once you become the fastest in the world, that means you're also the gold medalist. So I worked really, 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 really hard. With rehab, I said, you know, I realized I just lost my leg. I realized this is a foreign situation for myself. But you know what? That's okay, because if I keep trying every day and I keep pushing myself every day and I keep working hard every day, then sooner or later I'll have a leg, I'll have a running leg, and I'll be on my way on the track. And that's exactly what I did every single day. I'm like, okay, I have a dream, I have a dream, I have a dream. I got to get it, I got to get it, I got to get it. And I did that, and I was able to represent the United States for the very first time in 2004. At the Paralympic Games. I was able to represent the United States in 2008 at the Paralympic Games. I was able to represent the United States in 2012 at the Olympic Games. And if it's God's will, in 2016, I'll also be representing the United States at the Paralympic Games. So as I was riding over here today, it occurred to me that very many of us, I believe, have talents. Sometimes it takes some of us, sometimes a longer time to find and or develop those talents. But one of the things I realized in coming over here today was, despite the fact that we all have talents, not every single last person is a champion. And there's something that separates people that have talent versus the people that want to be a champion or the people that are champions. And one of the greatest things that separates them is, number one, is faith. Number two is their ability to work hard. And number three is their ability to overcome situations. You see, each and every one of you all sitting here today have overcome something. But there's still something left for you to overcome. And if for whatever reason you are stuck underneath a train, if for whatever reason you keep saying to yourself, you know, I can't get up from this train situation, or for whatever reason you're discouraged by even the 17 minutes that you were trapped underneath the train, then that time you spent being discouraged it has taken away from time that you have to celebrate yourself being a champion. I have been able to go around the world and show people that gold medal because I worked hard for it, but because I want to show you all that it's achievable. Again, I sat underneath a train. I was stuck underneath a train for 17 minutes. I had to basically start a life all over again that I knew nothing about. I didn't know anything about being an amputee. But I kept saying to myself, you know what? You have to learn to trust your prosthetic leg. Such a weird thing that used to be made out of wood is now made out of carbon fiber. Such a weird thing that used to look not that cute still doesn't look that cute. But I wear it every day because it takes me closer and closer and closer to my next dream. It takes me to places like the library in Orlando to meet people like yourselves. It takes me around the world just to say, hey, I did something else. Hey, I can do something else. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that as I'm standing here talking to you all, that you begin to think about in your brains and in your minds and in your bodies about what it is that you really, really, really want to do. What is it that you really, really believe is stopping you from being who you really want to be? What is it that people say, hey, you know, I don't really believe that that person can achieve that? Because I know there were some people that thought I was crazy. And there are probably still some people that's going to think I'm crazy at 40 years old getting ready to go compete in Rio. I know there are people that think I'm crazy. But guess what? After I win, those same people are going to be standing there congratulating me. So I don't even care if they thought I was crazy. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for having me.